What's up, guys? Rick Denimere, Holy Moly Outdoors. Thanks so much for joining us today because it is another Tech Tip Tuesday and I am super excited about this episode. It is number 16 now, if you can believe it. I am so thankful you guys are here today because we're going to talk about early winter steelhead and fishing the pink worm. I already got my first fish of the season on this last weekend, so I really want to show you guys a couple tricks here for the changing conditions and how to catch you more fish. Alright guys, so we are talking the pink worm, and let me tell you, I was so skeptical of this technique. For many years, I was catching my steelhead on a bead or a jig and pretty being successful about it, so I was pretty reluctant myself to change. Well, I can tell you last season was a game changer. I started trying to change things up a little bit on a slower day, and I popped my limit of fish in pretty quick order on a pink worm. I thought the first day, it's a fluke. Went back the next day, another limit on the pink worm, and I'm noticing that no one else is catching fish. So obviously there's a lot of factors that could play into it, but a pink worm gives a steelhead something different, a little bit bigger profile, and if they're aggressive, they are going to smash it. So in this episode, we're going to cover a little bit on worms, but we're going to cover the different scenarios that you can change a little tiny tweak and all of a sudden it fits to that situation. So first we'll run down, like I try and do in all these videos, what kind of gear I like to run. So I have a gearing up and float fishing for steelhead with worms. So if you want to see that, take a look up above here. I'm going to link that video and display it across. It'll also be in the description below, along with everything that we show here, guys, for your gear and tackle. But for rod, I like to have a nice float rod that's at least 10 foot. I feel like that 10 foot gives you a huge advantage. You can mend the line a lot better and control your drift. So if I'm just doing a float rod, this has become my ultimate favorite in the last 3 years. This is the E6X from G-Loomis, a very affordable quality rod. It's a 10 foot. This one's a 1203 STFR medium light 6 to 12 pound test. It's a great rod for float fishing. Pair it up with a 3000 size reel with 20 pound test, and this is braided line along with about a 10 foot top shot section. That top shot section of mono goes right to a Cleardrift Float 20 gram with one of my poured inline weights, about 2.5 to 3 feet a leader, and then you're tying on the business end. Now, conditions will dictate the size of your presentation that you want to use, because some of that is the water clarity, some of it is the water height. Everything plays into it, the hydraulics of where you're fishing, where you want that presentation to be in correlation to where the fish may be holding. So I generally start murky water or super high and fast water. I am running a 1/4 ounce size jig. Now there's a couple different 1/4 ounce jigs. There's a regular steelhead jig that is just the ball head itself and a nice stout hook. I pour these myself. They're available on our website. So if you want something like that, I'll link it below. But there's also something specifically made for worm fishing, and these are awesome. They have a little wire keeper here on the bottom that really helps you to secure that worm even a little bit more, so it stays on for more fish, more casts, and means more time in the water, which equates to more fish. So a 1/4 ounce jig pairs up great for a little bit larger worm, that higher visibility that's needed, and you need something that really gets down quick. So I go 1/4 ounce there. If I have normal flow conditions, normal speed and depth, I run an 1/8 ounce jig. And again, you can run just a similar steelhead jig, round ball head, works great. Or you can get one that has the wire keeper. So those two all up to you. If you don't use the wire keeper version, I recommend you get a bait button dispenser, and you can really put one of those on there to secure that worm to the hook. When we start talking the actual worms here, this varies because you can go into any fishing store and there's 100 colors of spinners, 100 colors of plugs, and 100 colors of worms and jigs and everything. So you don't have to go pick one of everything. You can pick a few couple colors, but what's more important to me is the size of your presentation. Colors are great and you can match those to the water clarity, but the profile is what's important here. So I run two types of worms in particular that I have a lot of confidence in and very successful with. The first one is from Xfactor Tackle. If you guys haven't seen some of my other videos, this is the Steelhead Slayer. This is a 4-inch worm with a flat tapered tail. And let me tell you guys, that thing in the water, as you can see here, really just undulates with every little bit of current and really drives the fish wild. Comes in a lot of great colors like that orange. Here's a peach. Here's a pink. Some great colors, all different varietypes. Now you can have fun with this, and I even did a video as well on how to make your own two-tone color worms. Like this one is a blue and pink nightmare version. You can take a white one and just dip and dye the tail. Now you have a hot tail white worm on a jig that'll ready to catch some fish. So that's an Xfactor Tackle Steelhead Slayer. They come in a 4-inch and a 6-inch model. Obviously, 6-inch would play great in those higher flows, so a bigger profile. The 4-inch works pretty much in everything. Now, another great company that I use a lot of worms from is Cleardrift Floats. So from Cleardrift, you have a lot of great colors, guys, and a few different sizes. Again, with Xfactor Tackle, same thing, but Cleardrift has a different profile shape of their worm. The Xfactor Tackle is this tapered version where you have a lot of different movement based upon the way the current flow is. Xfactor also has a smaller version, and we'll get to that in a minute, but the Cleardrift has a tapered tail that is actually a little more bulky. So this gives a totally different look in the water column than something that's a little bit bigger. This happens to be a 3.5-inch, and this is the 3-inch. What these allow is another profile change. So I can use this 3.5-inch version in something that's more normal flow. If I get super low, I can change the color, like this purple and pink tail, and drop it down to an 1/8 or a 1/16 ounce jig, so I have a lot smaller presentation. So it works great when you're wanting to come behind in high pressure and fish something like a darker colored worm with a little bit of contrast in there to get that fish's attention. This one happens to be a black to pink, really effective. So kind of covering a lot there, but if you can catch what I'm going with, so you can start on the larger profile and work your way down till you're super small. Now, pink worms come in all shapes and sizes, including some of these ones that are almost trout size. Now, what's great about these guys is Xfactor Tackle makes a great one here for your ability to downsize on a steelhead jig. This could be on a regular size, like this guy here that's just plain, no feathers, no nothing tied onto it. Or you can even take something like a rabbit fur jig, just like this guy here, and you can spice this up here. So what we're going to show you is I got a really good orange worm tail. I'm going to add a little bit extra to this jig. I'm only going to need probably about 2 of these inch needed. So this is a 3-inch worm. I just pinched off about 1 inch. I am going to take this, thread it onto my jig here, And look at that. This now creates an awesome profile. And this jig now added profile. It added color, movement. You can go behind people now and absolutely lay waste to those fish that aren't getting enticed. But those aren't the only manufacturers out there. Like I said, guys, there's some great ones out there by Mad River. Some of my favorite colors have been some of these peachy pearls and red pearls and a nightmare pattern like this guy. So many different ones out there. But what's important to me, and I'll reiterate and go back to it, is matching your worm size to the conditions. The smaller the worm, the lower in the clear the water I generally go with. Sometimes there's oddness to that rule. You can fish a 4-inch, 5-inch worm, crystal clear water, and you get an aggressive strike out of a fish. But most of the time, when you downsize to the conditions, you can do extremely well. And this is the time with a huge cold snap coming in. The rivers are going to drop, get super low and clear. Don't rule out to continue fishing the worm, because it is super effective and one of my new and improved techniques that I'm absolutely loving because it's so successful. So I hope this helps, guys. Go check these programs out. I'm going to put them all in below for the products. Xfactor tackle, Cleardrift floats, some great products there with worms. I highly recommend all that, guys. And if you want to see more of this stuff, you're going to see some on the water reviews, some more on the water footage. A lot of different things are coming real soon. So thanks so much for joining us. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe below, and we'll catch you on the water. Take care, guys. Rick Denham here, signing off. Take care and fish on!